Alright, so let's talk about this. I agree with Dr. Richardson at the University of Pennsylvania with all the opinions on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. I don't think anyone that actually has stated their opinion publicly has ever met a Palestinian or an Israeli. And I know for fact that if you're in the U.S., you know a little bit less than nothing about this conflict in whole. And I can prove that because when I say Palestine, Israel, all of you immediately talk about the religious distinctions, which prior to the United Kingdom getting involved, realistically didn't exist. And you're allowed to disagree with me all you want, but I'm mistaken. It wasn't prior to the United Kingdom getting involved. It was prior to the Roman Empire getting involved. Specifically, the Christians. It realistically didn't exist before the Crusades. It started as a result of the Crusades. So that Judeo-Palestinian conflict that you're going to reference and say, oh, this conflict goes back thousands of years? No, it only goes back to the First Crusade. And I think I might be wrong about that too. As I think about it, I don't believe it actually became an issue until the Fourth Crusade. You know, when the Templars were loaning money to all the nobles in Europe so that they could steal their land and usurp their land into the church? Yeah. And you can verify everything I'm saying. All of this is well documented. You won't, but you can. Because you'd rather believe what you believe. Facts really don't have anything to do with it. Now, before we go any further, a message directly to AIPAC, a message directly to the ADL. Yes, of course, I'm an anti-Semite. Absolutely. Yes. If I say anything negative about Israel, I'm an anti-Semite. Yeah. We've all heard it before. Put up or shut up. All right. There's a couple things that I want to make absolutely clear at the very beginning. The Israeli people have consistently voted for an apartheid government. I do not fault them for that. That is their right. It is their country. They are allowed to do what they want. Israel was established in 1947 by the United Kingdom, and I'll get into that a little bit more deeply later on in the lecture. And Israel has the right to exist. It's been a sovereign state since 1947. They established themselves firmly in 1963. And they exist. And simply by existing, that guarantees their right to exist. That being said, the same holds true for Palestine. The Palestinian states, the West Bank and Gaza Strip, have existed since 1996. They exist and therefore absolutely have the right to exist. Now, let's talk about how badly the West fucked things up. Let's start with the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is always the bad guy. Always. And they always like to say, oh, well, we tried to make everything. No, you didn't. You tried to steal from everybody. And now you're paying the price for it. and you're crying about, oh no, it's all going wrong. Well, maybe if you'd done things in good faith, it wouldn't be this fucked up. All right. In 1947, after the United Kingdom screwed over all the Arabs, and they really did, they fucked them over good, they decided they were going to establish the State of Israel. And that, to me, makes perfect sense. You couldn't allow what happened in Europe to happen again. And the only way you could guarantee that is by giving them their own sovereign state. And because at the end of the Second World War, all of the industrial infrastructure in Europe was destroyed, the only way to guarantee the military of Israel was if that military went under the purview of the United States. Now, I want you to understand exactly what that means. So from the beginning, the Israeli military has been the U.S. military. The U.S. has been defending Israel since Israel was established in 1947. Understand that. Get that clear in your head. The U.S. military has been the military of Israel since 1947. And again, I find no fault in that. What happened to them in the Second World War, what happened to the Jewish diaspora in the Second World War, it was horrific. And it cannot be repeated. Now, having said that, we're standing by and watching it happen to, the Tutsis, the Hutus. Actually, I believe it's the Tutsis. I think the Hutus are the aggressors here. I may be wrong. I haven't been following the conflict. But if I'm not mistaken, the Hutus are the aggressors, so it's happening to the Tutsis. We're standing by and watching it happen to the Palestinians. We're going to sit back and do nothing as the Russians do it to the Ukrainians. But for the Jews, we all want to protect them. And we should. Because if we lose any one of us, we're all diminished. And that includes if we lose a Jew, a Palestinian, a Tutsi, a Uyghur. And yes, I know, again, directly the Anti-Defamation League and AIPAC. I understand. I'm an anti-Semite. I get it. Yeah. Whatever. Okay. So in 1947, the United Kingdom went to the Arab states and decided to negotiate a settlement in the area of Jerusalem for the Jewish diaspora. And I drink to that. That was a great idea. It was the right thing to do. So, because the United Kingdom is stupid, they never realized that, hey, we're dealing with a tribal culture here. They're more a confederacy than what we recognize as a sovereign state. And they were happy being a confederacy. I see no problem with a confederacy. I've seen many confederacies at work. You want one in American history, take a look at the Iroquois Confederacy. It predates the U.S. government. It still exists. It's a solid government. It's a confederation. When they're well planned and well executed, confederacies work. just because the South couldn't handle it, or more accurately, just because the Southern politicians of 19th century America couldn't figure out how to operate a government, it doesn't mean confederacies don't work. There are examples of highly functional confederacies. So, those Palestinian states are basically a confederacy. You have hundreds, even thousands of tribes in a very small area. And they were able to get along for the most part. Yes, there were conflicts. There always is. I mean, even when you have a federalist government, I mean, take a look at the U.S. right now. We've been a federalist republic for 250 years this year. And, God, definitely since Newt Gingrich became Speaker of the House, we haven't been able to get along with each other at all. And we consider our government functional. At least up until Mitch McConnell took over the Senate. So, going back to the United Kingdom and the Palestinian Confederacy, and why the United Kingdom is so stupid. It never dawned on them to go and figure out which tribe are the other tribes going to follow. Not which tribe has the most followers. Which tribe is going to be able to act as a sovereign? At the time, there were probably 3. And of course, the United Kingdom made sure they went out of their way to exclude those 3 tribes. As negotiations go on, and I do fault the United Kingdom for this. This was a bad move. It was a mistake from the beginning. All of the consequences of the mistake were completely foreseeable, and only a dumb fuck would do something like this. So yeah, I fault the United Kingdom for this. I agree what happened in Europe should never happen again. I agree that the United Kingdom should have put things in place to guarantee it would never happen again. But the United Kingdom was adamant that all the sacrifice happened on the Palestinian side. They were determined. And why shouldn't they be? I mean, they fucked over the Arabs on the Arab Peninsula. They were pretty sure they could fuck everybody over, which was what they were actually after. So the United Kingdom makes demands of the Palestinians which were without question unreasonable. And the Palestinians did what they should have done. They walked. Now this causes 2 problems for the Palestinians. There's no one negotiating on their behalf. They don't have the military strength to fight any of the Western powers. The Palestinians fought with the Allies, but that doesn't matter. Makes no difference to the Allies. And there's a very good reason for that. It's because of the Spanish. So, a little more history that now is the perfect time to tell you. When the Moors conquered Spain, and after the Christians took over in the Roman Empire, the Roman Empire decided they wanted to get the Moors out of Spain. The problem is that the Moors built a home in Spain. So they're getting married to Spanish men and Spanish women. They're building families. They're becoming Spanish. But their ancestry is Arab. So the Christian church is trying to figure out, how do you determine who has Arab ancestry and who doesn't? And the decision they make is skin color. If they have darker skin color, they're Arab. Yeah. So basically, you hate the Arabs strictly because the Catholic Church told you to hate the Arabs. So, again, these problems were caused by the Christians. Right? And don't take my word for it. Look it up. You won't, but look it up. So now, you have a group, the United Kingdom. At this time, their objective is to hurt the Arab nations. And they want to make it look like a good thing. All right. So Israel gets established without any input from the Arab nations. And then Israel starts going outside their borders. See, there's actually 2 UN resolutions that Israel is a signatory on. Israel signed these resolutions. Israel agreed to them. That makes all of the settlements in Gaza and the West Bank illegal. And nearly from day one, Israel was expanding beyond its borders. In the beginning, Israel was established as an apartheid state. The only Palestinians that were allowed to live in Israel were Christian Palestinians. Again, that's a verifiable fact. You can look it up. Israel tried to expel everybody else out of Jerusalem. And I don't fault the citizenry of Israel for electing apartheid governments. They're allowed to do that. It's their country. They can do it, whatever they want. I don't fault them for that. What I do fault them for is the Israeli courts having jurisdiction in Gaza and the West Bank. They've never had jurisdiction in Gaza and the West Bank. Not until 1996, when Bill Clinton's negotiating team, gave it to them. From the beginning, every time we try to make peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians, we've never considered the Palestinians. Never once. Not ever. There is one exception. That 96 negotiation and President Carter. President James Earl Carter always considered the Palestinians. He went back and forth. He always defended Israel, but he always considered the Palestinians. He always told all of the Israeli leaders that, hey, you got to make room for them. That's why he was so adamant about getting it back to the pre-1967 borders. Almost from the very beginning, there was a war where all of the Arab countries fought Israel. Correction. Almost in the very beginning, in 1948, 1949 maybe, all the Arab countries went to war with the United States. Because Israel's military has always been the United States. So, and of course, the United States won. The borders changed slightly. Go back and forth. This goes back to the rant that I did last week about war. Israel wants to erase Palestine. And to be fair to Israel, war has always been like this, right? So you go in, you defeat a weaker country, significantly weaker, and then you begin stealing their natural resources. Because that's why you went to war with them. You went to war with them for the express purpose of stealing their natural resources. You didn't want to pay fair market price. But you're always going to have, you're never going to get rid of it. You're going to have that guerrilla population that comes in. Now, in the Middle East, that normally manifests as a group like, say, ISIS or Hamas or Hezbollah, Mujahideen. They're these guerrilla groups that are a response to being fucked over. Some of them are just working on an imagined slight. Some of them aren't. Some of them are legitimate. I mean, after all, Bashir lost control of northeast Syria because ISIS was able to keep the lights on. That was all it took. They made sure they had power. So in 1996, we give the whole candy store to Israel. Clinton's team, whom I'm pretty sure, regardless of what they say, their intent was to damage Palestine. Why? Well, Israel has control of everything coming in and out of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, including fuel. So for 12 hours of the day, there is no fuel. No electricity, no heating oil, nothing to pump water. They can't export anything because if they try to export any of the goods they produce, Israel will make sure they get destroyed. At least that's what they've done in the past. They can't import anything because everything's a weapon. And we've been okay with it because Israeli intelligence says that they're going to attack Israel. All right, fine. And I'm sure that that's true, like, sometimes. I have no doubt in my mind because Israel has been so brutal to them that there's no question. Some of these people want revenge and they're willing to die in order to get it. There's no doubt about that. At the same time, Palestine can't build industry. And that's because of the peace deal that Clinton's team negotiated. At the same time, Palestine can't build credit. That's because of the peace deal that Clinton's team negotiated. So let's be realistic with ourselves. Clinton's team, who claims to have been more liberal and progressive, fucked Palestine over, and they did it on purpose. Trump's peace team, so Marco Rubio's State Department, will happily assist in erasing Palestine so that President Trump can make a penny more. Now, for all you MAGA types out there who are going to tell me, no, that's not true. President Trump has negotiated a peace deal. There is no peace deal. What he did was just basically say, yeah, the Clinton peace deal looks good. The Clinton peace deal sucked. The only thing the Clinton peace deal did was establish a two-state solution, which is what should have been done from the beginning. When they established Israel, they should have also established Palestine back in 1947. But of course, the United Kingdom has always been a country that believes in raping the countries that they go to. And that's not going to change. The United Kingdom is only interested in stealing natural resources, just like the United States. U.S. foreign policy has always been, let's go overseas and steal natural resources. The only exception was James Earl Carter. It's the only president that was the exception. He believed in paying fair market price. Every other president, Democrat, Republican, Whig, Federalist, states' rights, doesn't matter. Their foreign policy was let's go overseas and steal natural resources. That's U.S. foreign policy. It's United Kingdom foreign policy. In point of fact, it's the foreign policy for the whole of Europe. All of the former Roman Empire, that's their foreign policy. There is no peace deal in Palestine. There will never be a peace deal in Palestine. Because we in the West, we don't believe in Palestinian dignity. We don't think they should exist. And for all of you people that are out there and say, well, no, I disagree. And I'm speaking specifically to you manosphere types. This conflict gives you an excuse to be an anti-Semite. So go ahead, be anti-Semitic. It's who you are. As for those who claim to be progressive and say, I really want rights for Palestinians, you had almost 50 years to do that. More. You've had about 80 years to do that. And you've made a little bit less than zero progress. So I reiterate again, whichever side of the political spectrum you're on, there is no Palestinian peace deal. There will never be a Palestinian peace deal. The West does not believe that the Palestinians deserve to exist. They're more than happy to assist Israel in erasing Palestine. You want to convince me that you want peace in Palestine? Well, start by getting our government to stop financing the Israeli military. Start by getting our State Department to put protections in place for the West Bank and Gaza Strip so that an Israeli judge can't take the homes of Palestinians. Start by enforcing UN Resolution 4 and 5, which Israel signed, and end the settlements in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Start by recognizing Lebanon's sovereignty and not allowing Israel to invade Lebanon. Correction, not allowing the United States to invade Lebanon. Let's start with those things. We're not going to, but that really is where we should start. You know where else we should start? The United States and the United Kingdom have to get out of the Middle East. They are the two countries that have damaged the Middle East more than anybody else at any time. The United States and the United Kingdom must leave the Middle East. You want peacekeeping forces? Fine. No United Kingdom, no United States. Germany can do just as good a job. So can, dare I say it, France and Denmark. Mainland Europe can do just as good a job at keeping the peace in the Middle East as the United States can and the United Kingdom. Canada could do just as good a job. Just as long as it's not the United Kingdom, not the United States. Both of those countries have made very clear that when they're dealing with a Middle Eastern country, they're not dealing in good faith. And again, don't take my word for it. You can look all of this up. You can verify it. It's factually accurate. The Palestinians have no reason to trust us. We've never dealt with them in good faith, and we never will. Same with the United Kingdom. The Palestinians don't have a reason to trust the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom have never dealt with them in good faith, and they never will. If you want peace in the Middle East, the United Kingdom and the United States have to leave. UN Resolutions 4 and 5 must be enforced. You need a peacekeeping force to defend Palestine from the United States. And then we can start to have a peace process. Palestine needs to be able to import stuff. That means that they need loans from the IMF. They need gifts of technology so that they can actually begin building industry. And right now is the perfect time to do it because Israel made sure that there's nothing left. Israel destroyed everything. Now, they've got another unique problem because now the bulk of the Palestinian population, which was young to begin with, are now basically minor teenagers. So we need to set up schools, trade schools specifically, to teach them how to run machines, how to design and build buildings. We have to teach them how to rebuild their country. And we need people from Western Africa, Morocco, Tunisia. They need to go to Palestine and teach them how to build a government. Because Palestine has never been allowed to have a government before. The only government they had wasn't recognized by the United Kingdom or the United States. Because you're so smug and superior. A confederation of tribes can't be a government. It works, but it can't possibly be a government. So, we need other governments, not the United States, not the United Kingdom. Because again, you've never dealt with the Palestinians in good faith. They don't trust you. They never will, nor should they. You need governments that they're going to trust to go over there and teach them how to build a government that can deal with the United Kingdom and the United States. And then maybe we can start moving towards peace. But as it is, with this current crop of people that are in power, there will never be peace in the Middle East. Never. And I'm not just talking about Netanyahu. And I'm not just talking about Trump. And I'm not just talking about Keir Starmer. All right, so that's for Palestine.